Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 210 of the High Sensitivity Podcast, and thank you for listening. If it's your first time here, we talk about video game and movie news, as well as we watched or played over the week. My name is Barry, along with my fellow college football superstars.
Oh, that's dope because I just pre-ordered that officially. My name's Craig, and I guess I'm right now in a state of Craig.
My name is also Craig, anxiously counting down the days till we can play college football again.
Let's go.
And that's going to be our transition to the news because we
Yep.
got the NCAA 25 college football deep dive on the gameplay.
3 minutes.
3 minutes, and like
Deep dive.
I guess I'm just glad to like see the game and that
Yeah.
it's the game and stuff
Mhm.
like that. There's a lot of people who aren't saying it's a Madden reskin, but I would hold off on all of that right now just because yes, like there is going to be what they're doing here is a lot of the players are like more affected by the stadium whereas pros aren't supposed to be, but a lot of the home field advantage stuff is the same as what's in Madden. Uh, the power ups that a player can have, while definitely are expanded on, a lot of those players in Madden also have. But I won't let it like tear down my excitement for the game. I'm still excited for it.
Mhm.
I just wish I wish we maybe went into what the dynasty modes and road to glory modes were going to look like. Just
Mm.
because the gameplay, I could have told you it was going to look like that. It
Yeah.
it looks like football.
Mm-hmm.
But
I think
excited
it
for it.
looks a little
Yeah.
bit smoother, honestly. Some of the stuff was interesting, like the hits affecting your players over time, right? Like that was kind of cool, I thought. I don't think we've seen that in Madden yet, have we?
I just don't know
Mm.
if it's like the same as being hit sticked and your player gets fatigued.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's that type of stuff
Right.
where like yeah, if I run my running back 700, plays a game and he gets hit enough, he's going to get injured. Like there's
Yeah, he
no
won't go to the NFL. Yeah,
Yeah.
essentially.
True. That was the
Yeah.
other thing that popped out too that I saw was you won't be able to transfer your draft class into Madden, and that
yeah.
it was because of them using the real names that they could not allow it. So that was kind of a bummer, but I get it.
Yeah, if you give a good reason behind it or like a logical enough reason, we'll be bummed, but like, still won't make us cancel the pre-order,
Right.
and not
Right.
play it.
Next up on my list is going to be it's kind of like a mixed bag week for Sony, so I'll kind of go into the good, which is the state of play in a way. And I'll first start with the bad. So, first up, and I don't know how this happened, but the Destiny Final Shape DLC was leaked and released on PS5 streaming. So you could access the Final Shape DLC for Destiny 2 on PS5 streaming. I don't know how, like, streaming the game and they accidentally release it, whereas you probably play it regularly and it's fine. I just thought that was the most
Mhm.
bizarre thing for it.
Yep.
Yeah,
I
I don't know. It's weird. I don't know how you do it, but people, if you're excited for the final shape, be careful for spoilers,
Yeah.
because spoilers are all over the place. This is a big DLC, or at least Sony is hoping that it's a big DLC, just because Destiny 2 is kind of on the downfall of players, which it's at this point it's an old game, so
Mhm.
it's
Oh yeah. But like speaking of what you were saying, I mean, I hope that for that group that's dedicated and has been playing it for the last decade, I really hope they don't get the spoilers ruined because like there are some people who have been playing it for a long time.
Yeah.
So you want it to naturally be able to come in terms of what gets revealed to them as they're playing, not by accidentally stumbling upon it.
yeah. I
But
just remember like all of like the 4-hour videos that like explain the lore of Destiny and the timeline. It's like I shouldn't need a 4-hour video to understand the story.
Yeah, but you do it
Especially
for
for
Kingdom Hearts.
I was gonna say, yeah,
Kingdom Hearts is multiple games. Destiny 2
that's
is
true.
just
That
one. Is one. So I do have that going for me.
uh,
And on top of their bad week, which again is another mistake, I don't know how they did it. So PlayStation interviewed Neil Druckmann for their PlayStation blog,
Oh,
and
yeah.
his sentences about the game that they're making is going to change the perceptions of gaming, all
Yep.
this AI stuff, was apparently misquoted. And Neil Druckmann even came out on X and said, like, hey, here are my full quotes, which Neil Druckmann does answer in a very long wall of text to a lot of these questions. But it's funny to me that, like, PlayStation's own PlayStation blog paraphrased and messed up the quotes for their own PlayStation studio. And it's just like, I know it's on the editor and I know it's on the writer that did this, but like, Neil Druckmann, if you want like your quotes and every single answer you have out here in full, just come on our podcast and
Oh yeah, we'll have you.
we will not misquote you whatsoever. We would never do that.
We would never.
We
No,
might get you to talk about something else. Like, I'm gonna try and figure out like if you're excited for NCAA football, but
we might super fan a little bit, just like we just love you. We just love your ideas.
They're so great.
But they've since taken down the blog, and I do wonder whether or not they will eventually post it with just the full quotes, or if they're just going to maybe try and reorganize or re-edit that blog. Because getting to interview him is not necessarily a small thing; it's a big thing, and people like to hear from him because their studio makes really good games.
True.
Yeah, and the misquote was pretty bad too, because it was, essentially that next project being the future of gaming, and like it's just like, how do you? I don't know how you mess that up. How do you misquote that?
Somebody got fired.
Yeah.
Somebody on their performance review is getting needs improvement.
Needs improvement.
Yeah, we'll be reporting on that layoff next week.
Yep.
And then the state of play for Sony is what we'll go into next. Not a lot of big stuff, but I'll go over kind of the announcements and we can kind of go over what we think of the games. Big announcement is going to be kind of the biggest one is the Astrobot game coming out for PS5 in September. We have Concord, a 5-on-5 multiplayer shooter coming out in August. Silent Hill remake gameplay.
Craig.
God of War Ragnarok is going to PC in September, but needs a PSN account in order to be played. Monster Hunter Wilds gameplay. Dynasty Warriors Origin. Ballad of Antara. Where Winds Meet. Both very similar looking games, Dark Souls looking games. And then Infinity Nikki was the other game.
Yeah.
I
knew that was a Barry game when I saw it. I was like, oh, he's going to be excited for this one.
No, I'm not. That's not what any of this is.
You're going to play
I'm not.
It's described as a fashion RPG. I don't think I've ever seen that combined together. A fashion RPG.
I had to look into I looked into it just based out of curiosity at this point.
And anyone
but it is a series of games that have been coming out in Japan for this. It's called the Infinity series. I don't know how they got that name. Like, good on them. That's good marketing.
Yeah.
But all of these games do the same thing. It's very, and I'm just gonna come out and say it's very Balan Wonder-esque.
Mm-hmm.
She changes costumes. She gets different powers. There's very light combat. It's more a lot of light puzzles and stuff like that for Infinity. Just because the trailer in the state of play, it was like a lot of picture taking, and I was like, is this like a weird take picture of weird anime girl kind of game? And it's a little more than that, but there is picture taking in it as well.
Yeah, it looked like Pokemon Snap, but with like an anime girl for a second there. I was like, what is the goal?
Look, I can come out right now and say it. I will not be buying this game. This is not up my alley.
He'll get it.
Barry.
They give it to me for free. It'll be different.
He'll get the collector's edition.
He'll get the collector's edition.
You guys suck.
I don't know if y'all know this about me, but I played a crap ton of Dynasty Warriors when I was a kid.
Same.
And I don't know I don't know where I stand on whether I'm going to get that new one or not. Like, I got excited for it because I was like, oh my God, is that the Yellow Turban Army? Like, I was trying to identify things in the game, but it looks like you're not playing. It looks like you're playing as a nameless person. And I don't know. I'm just so used to playing Lubu and, Sao Sao and like all those. So, like, I don't know. I need to look a little bit more into that game, but I got randomly excited when I saw that because it just like the sounds and the visuals. I like put it together in like 15 seconds. I was like, this is a Dynasty game, you know. But I don't know.
I think that style of game is like, I don't know, man. It's so ancient at this point.
It
Like
is.
they've done it before. Like I played, I don't know, it was a game based on an anime. I don't know if it was One Piece or something that was like a Dynasty game. And when I was playing that, I was like, man, this is so dated. I don't know. The
Yeah.
idea of a Dynasty Warriors game, unless they're like drastically changing it, it's just, I don't know. I guess, is it popular overseas still?
I don't know. I mean, the algorithm's been popular for a while, but like you
Yeah.
said, it is kind of dated. I mean, you plop down, you kill a bunch of things that are a lot weaker than you, and then you
Yep.
fight. You watch the counter go up. You kill 1,000 people in one level.
Yep.
You know what I mean? I don't know. It's that's why I couldn't decide
Yeah.
my excitement level for that.
I really
know?
liked them back in like PS2 days.
Oh my God,
They were great. Yeah.
staple.
Mm-hmm.
But we'll see.
Yeah, I'm slightly interested in that. In Dynasty Warriors, we'll have to see. I haven't played one of those games in a long time.
Yeah.
We could talk about the two lookalike games, which would be like Ballad of Antara and Where Winds Meet. I had a very hard time figuring out like how these games are different from each other and why we're getting two games that look exactly the same.
Yep.
This is Sony's like, okay, let's make Dark Souls games. That's what we're gonna do. So we have two games that look heavily inspired on different types of mythology. I will admit the monster design of Ballad of Antara does look pretty good. I thought that kind of stuck out. Whereas Where Winds Meet looks to be like
was that the Crouching Tiger one? Wasn't there something that had a little crouching tiger in there, like dancing among the trees? That's all I think about.
That one was that one. Yeah.
Do you guys feel like we're oversaturated now
with Dark Souls games?
Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, there's just too many.
There's also a lot of games involving, I don't know, reclaiming something as like a sword character. There's a lot of them that have come out. We got, even this year, Rise of Ronin's already out. We got Black Wukong, who's going to be, which it looks like a darker version of that type of style. And then just kind of seeing these, I don't know, like there's a lot of those games coming out. I didn't even realize it until my wife pointed it out. Like she was like, she's like, is that right? She confused it with Rise of Ronin. She thought that was right. I was like, no, that one's out already. So, yeah. But we do have a lot of those games too. We're just in an era where we have Metroidvanias, Dark Souls.
That's what's popular for sure.
It's what's popular. But
now you guys are the Silent Hill boys. Do you guys want to talk about the Silent Hill?
Craig, did you feel a little bit better?
No.
When you saw it,
I thought it looked a little bit better than what we saw originally.
It looked better than the first one, yes, but
yes,
those character models are still weird looking. I don't know. We'll see. I'm gonna play it for sure.
I'm on the Excite train.
Okay. We'll see.
It looked. Did you watch the thing, the transmission?
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. I'm just trying to be cautious about it, Like, I want it to be good because that's a very good game. That's an extremely good game. I just don't want them to mess it up. So, in that first trailer, I was like, oh my God, they messed it up. So,
it
I
looks
don't know.
bad.
We'll see. It's coming out soon.
It is. It'll be in time for October. I think it's October 9th or whatever. Yep. And they're following it up with a movie that's also going to be about Silent Hill 2.
Movie
so we're getting
looks decent.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So we're getting a lot of Silent Hill 2.
Yeah.
Concord.
The
kind of the hotter
garbage.
Topic.
Overwatch.
What I hated was I liked the trailer, But the moment they said it was a 5-on-5
Ugh.
multiplayer game,
Yep.
I was like, why can't this be like a Guardians of the Galaxy type game?
Yeah.
Like, this looks so heavily inspired by Guardians of the Galaxy. And, they kind of go into a deep dive where, oh, yeah, every week or the games you get, you're going to get these kind of I'm trying to figure out the way to put it, but like there are these in-game cinematics that will help you learn about the team, learn about what's going on. And it's like, why just not make this a single player game? Like, just
Yeah.
these characters look interesting, and it looks like, you have characters with very much Guardians of the Galaxy type tropes.
Mhm.
I would have been okay. I would have been more excited if this was a single player game, and I hate that the trailer made me feel like it was going to be something that was like that. And then, they kind of dropped the bomb that went, hey guys, this is a 5-on-5 multiplayer game. And it's like, man, why are we doing this?
Too many of them. And they're not working.
Yeah.
This market is so crowded. Why are you guys trying to fight over the nibbles and scraps of what the other games have already like cemented themselves? I guess if the game ends up being like a Helldivers 2 and ends up doing really well, then great. But I do not see that happening unless this game is doing something different that they haven't shown us yet.
Yeah. The first 5 seconds of the trailer made me think it was like a Star Wars deep dive until I realized what it was. Then I loved, like you were saying, Barry, the beginning of it. Now I'm just calling it Star Wars Overwatch because that's what it looks like. It literally looks like you could pick out 5 Overwatch characters in those characters if that's the route that they're going. So you're right, crowded market. Why now?
It's just generic.
Yeah.
Like your characters are cool, but the game's generic.
Yeah.
No thanks.
And then we'll go to the better part. I'm excited for Astrobot.
Yeah.
That looks like a lot
That
of
looks
fun.
good.
And it just looks like it's just so much different from what we've been playing. I think it's going to be a nice change of pace.
That first Astrobot, when you bought your PS5, I loved.
Yeah.
I thought it was awesome.
Mm-hmm.
And when I saw this, I know they haven't said, but my first thought was like, oh, is this like a free game? And I was like, oh, this looks too big to be a free game. But then I'm like, is this like a $70 game? Because your first one was marketed as kind of as like a get to know your PS5 game. And then to make a kind of a, not a sequel, but kind of, I'm like, is this like a $40 game or is this straight $70? I don't know.
I think it's 70.
You think it's worth 70 though?
It looked kind of good.
Yeah, it looked like the first one though. And the first one was awesome, but it's not a $70 game.
I don't know. I counted, at least 10 to 12 different types of world / different experience. I don't know.
Yeah.
It looked, I could see, like, I don't want it to be a $70 game. I'm a consumer. If it's a $50 game, I'm happy, but I could see it's Sony too. So Sony 70.
Yeah. But for me, it's taking over what they used to do with Little Big Planet. Kind of. That's what it reminds me of, which is fine. I'm excited to play it for sure. It looks like a lot of fun.
Wasn't there something, pardon me if I incorrectly, but I thought I saw that there's over 100 PlayStation cameos in that game.
I wouldn't be surprised.
They showed a lot of cameos in that game.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Parappa the Rapper.
And the consoles, like the first one, all the different consoles were in there.
Yeah.
Pretty cool.
But that's actually all I had for news, was kind of going into that deep dive of stuff. If you guys want to go ahead and start your...
We talked a little bit about Black Ops 6 last week. We have the Xbox showcase this week where I'm sure they're going to talk about it a bunch. They did come out and say that it's not going to be behind any type of different Game Pass paywall, which is good. But on a down note, there was some deep diving that people were doing, and they found that it is like the last game we just got, another, in quotations, DLC download for Call of Duty Headquarters again, which leads me to believe it's probably a short single player experience once again, which is kind of a bummer.
Yeah.
But at least we don't have to pay for it this time.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah, Craig, how many hours are you guessing? 7-hour campaign?
Last year was what, 3?
Last year's, that's not a campaign. That
Yeah.
was
That's not a campaign.
My
that was
hope
a
is
disgrace.
so. My hope is that they said that this is the longest development cycle a Call of Duty game has ever had. Is this one right here? So my hope is that there is still a single player experience. I'm totally fine with it all being under the same launch screen. I think it makes sense, especially if you're going to end up putting them all on Game Pass, to have it like a Master Chief Collection where you can just like cycle through the different games and go back and play. But I need this to be like a 5 to 10 hour single player campaign and not using Warzone maps, for the love of God.
Yeah. When you look up the word campaign, it's a series of military operations intended to achieve a particular objective confined to a particular area.
Mhm.
Do you guys feel that that last year's was a campaign based off of that definition?
It didn't even wrap anything up. The main villain just gets away at the end of it, right? And that was just like the end of the. It was so bad. Oh my God. But yeah, my expectations are like all the way in the basement now for the single player part. And I don't
Yeah.
really play the Warzone anymore. I don't remember the last time I played Warzone, so we'll see. So Embracer, we all know Embracer. They were in the news today because their boss is talking about increasing games past $70. Did not take long. How you feel about that?
It's already breaking the bank. Like
It
I
is.
already spent way too much on video games. If they get to 80 or 75, like it's gonna the problem with that is it's bad for the consumer.
It is.
Because I will, they're not going to be able to buy as many games. You're going to have to pick and choose. And what that causes is consumers want to take less of a risk when it comes to the other games. Whereas, let's say we're comparing, I'll use an extreme one, Concord to God of War.
Mhm.
The next God of War game is like, yeah, that's where my money's going for sure. But if both of these games are $85 and I can only afford one, I'm gonna pick the one that I'm kind of invested or that looks better than Concord, and I'm not gonna want to take the risk on it.
Yeah, it definitely poses a risk for games that don't already have an established name. Like to your point, Barry, God of War, Spider-Man, yeah, we're throwing down the 85, but if you're throwing like Stellar Blade,
I was throwing down $1,000 for that game, no matter what.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say it poses a risk for creative or new innovative ideas. Is essentially what it does.
Yep. I mean, again, Craig and I are a little bit older than you, Barry, but like I specifically remember Super Nintendo. First and foremost, Super Nintendo, you would go in and your normal games are $49.99, but your high tier games like Super Street Fighter 2 Turbo were like $99.99. And that was back in the 90s. So think about how much that would be today. But it was because it wasn't really regulated and you could charge whatever you wanted. It would be like 50, 70, 100, 90, 40, 30. It was all over the place. So I'm not opposed to it, but they have to understand that like if you're a smaller developer, you can't charge $80. And I think we see it already on Steam, right? These third party are releasing games for like 15, $20 and getting more out there than they would if they were trying to make 50 or 60 or 70. So I mean, it's never good whenever the prices go up, but I understand the cost is higher nowadays.
Yeah. So we also have to expect it as these budgets for some of these big budgeted games do go up as well. Inflation.
Yeah, 100%. Also, Little Nightmares 3 is delayed to 2025.
Yes, no.
I kind of figured because this thing has not had a date for what, 2 years now?
We haven't seen
3
anything
years
from them yet either in a while.
Yeah. I don't think any of us are surprised. It's just kind of a bummer. I guess we'll just play Silent Hill instead in October.
Yeah. But in all fairness, they released the right type of testimony as to why they want to make sure it's perfect, essentially. Yep. So we'll wait because the other two are damn near perfect.
They are. And historically, I think they normally come out in like January or February. They're usually right at the beginning of the year. So if it's an early one, that's fine. And last thing I have, fresh off of going independent, Toys for Bob. They're just teaming up with Xbox now.
What a weird move. Am I
It's
like
so weird.
that was such an odd thing that I read.
Yeah. They're like, oh, we're going independent and we're teaming up with Xbox because we need the help. Sure. I mean, go for it. Get the help you need to put out whatever game. I don't know. Have they done anything besides Crash Bandicoot?
Well, they did. I think Toys for Bob is also for Spyro.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But they haven't made a Spyro game in years.
Well, that's what's being rumored. Is it?
I mean,
Yes,
I'm down
please,
with that.
Please,
Yeah.
I'll play another Spyro game in 10 seconds.
Crash 4 was phenomenal.
Crash 4 was.
So, yeah, give me a new Spyro for sure. But yeah, that's all I had.
All right, a couple lightning ones to finish it off. Number one, yeah, that's sad news about Little Nightmares. We did get news and a trailer associated with Tomb Raider, the Tomb Raider animated series that is going to be coming in October. I don't know if you guys saw the trailer. It looks pretty cool. Laura Croft doing like a bunch of backflips and looking like she wasn't really ever on the ground the entire time. So it looks like, I mean, Laura is known for her jumping. Remember the jumping from the first game, and the just how funny it is and how frustrated I would get when I wouldn't land where I wanted to land.
Yes.
But it looks like she can jump and land in the right spots here in this game, in this show. So I'm excited. There's been a lot of success with games becoming animated shows recently, like clearly Cyberpunk. I know I'm forgetting another one, but that's exciting. Redfall is getting its final patch, which it's the death of a legend. I personally, and I'm announcing this here, I'm going to mourn the loss of Redfall patch updates specifically, so that they can continue to make that the game of the year that they have.
Yeah. Here's what we'll do: moment of silence for Redfall here, guys. Moment of silence has passed.
Prayers up.
You will be missed. Had to say it. This one's for Barry. Scavenger's Reign, which I apparently got canceled on Max, or not canceled on Max, is not viewable on Max anymore, is getting a second revival on Netflix.
Yep.
Which is fantastic, as I'm sure Barry, I don't know if there's a confirmed rumor of a second season, or maybe this will be the thing that'll put it into that second season area.
That's all we can hope.
Okay.
Right, that's all that there is for it right now, is that they're hoping that the increased subscribers on Netflix will get this show seen by more people.
That's the place to throw it on if you want to get an increased subscriber outside of Crunchyroll or something like that.
I don't know. There's
believe
so
it's
much
already
crap.
on.
There's
Oh,
so much
Netflix?
crap on Netflix. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's like they have to be actively pushing it if
Mhm.
they're gonna get more people. Like I feel like Netflix is just always trying to push something else.
True. Yeah, one of
True.
their crazy horrible movies that
Yeah.
they keep.
Yeah,
making.
but if I remember correctly, I mean the last best new animes that I've watched have been on Netflix, right?
Well, it depends. Like
It does
you,
depend.
you watch a lot of Netflix. You aren't going to Crunchyroll to watch Mushoku Tensei or High Dive to watch Oshinoko. Or
Yeah,
watch
yes.
Free Rent on Crunchyroll.
I guess the point I'm trying to make, let me rephrase it, is the animes that have been released on Netflix as of late have been quite well received and watched a ton.
Yeah.
So like maybe this is the move.
Deliciousness in Dungeon is a pretty good one from Netflix. So
Mm-hmm. Was Blue Eye Samurai on Netflix, or was that
Yep.
Prime?
that was a Netflix.
Netflix. All right. Well, that is all I had.
Sweet.
All right, let's get into games this week, and we'll do this today. I have a feeling because I don't think it'll take long. This is going to be an FF7 Rebirth spoiler cast.
Bring it on.
The game's been out long enough. I finished it on a nice Wednesday afternoon. Got it done, and then I got a decent amount through Hellblade 2. How about you guys?
I tried some xDefiant this week.
Ooh.
I went back in, and because it dropped on Game Pass, started playing Evil West again.
Okay.
And then I started playing as well. I don't even know how to pronounce it, but the Tales of Kenzera, that one
Okay.
that got announced a while ago, that we were all kind of like, oh, that looks cool. I started that too.
I'm interested to hear your takes on it, and
Yeah.
Barry, your initial Hellblade takes. I'm really interested as well. I finished Hellblade 2, and then I also I kind of hinted at it this week in our chat, guys. I started Unicorn Overlord.
Fair.
I'm glad. So, where do we want to start?
I
This
don't know.
week? That
I
is,
don't. I don't know.
we got a wide range.
Why don't we just run through everything and then do the Final Fantasy one?
Sure,
That
we'll
sounds
do
good.
that. All right, so we'll start off with Hellblade 2 because I am not finished with it yet. Should be soon. I know the game isn't very long. I don't expect to have much longer to do. But so like overall, like the writing and graphic wise of Hellblade 2 is spectacular. I am drawn into the story. I'm having a lot of fun with like the way the game looks is gorgeous, but and I know we mentioned it in our kind of group chat too. I hate the fact that it's in a widescreen aspect ratio. Video gamers are not, and video game designers are not constricted by a camera lens, so they can make this full screen, and it would be fun, and I wouldn't have this issue. But if you're trying to feel like you're on this big grand adventure, like people who have like smaller TVs, it only makes the screen smaller, and then on bigger TVs makes it that much apparent. Like I know they're trying to go for like this movie kind of demo portion, but I just hate it. I'm sorry, I hate it. Um Gameplay wise, it is a lot of walking. It's a lot of walking simulator type stuff. I enjoy the puzzles though. Combat, I like combat, but I cannot get the parry down. I don't
It's
know what
tough.
it is. Yeah,
It's
like
tough.
I feel like it's just random. And I wish the game had a little bit more of a tutorial on like when to parry or what indicators are there to look to like when to parry, because it looks like enemy weapons like do a little flash
Yep.
before they hit you, but I'm not sure if that's the parry window, because if that's the parry window, it's tighter than Sekiro.
It's real
Mhm.
It
tight.
is.
Yeah.
It's real
So
tight.
so a lot of the time it's survive until I get enough focus
Yep.
and
That's all it is.
and then kill the enemies. I hate the enemies that light you on fire.
Yes, they're the worst.
Like
Yes.
I don't know, like, and that's something I wish the game did too. I wish it told me a better job of like what to do, because like those flame people, yes, when they shoot forward, you dodge to the side, but there's this one move where they light the ground on fire, and I back up and I still end up on fire. So it's like it's sometimes frustrating to know that like I don't know how to dodge some of these things, and then at that point I die and I'm like, oh, okay, but combat is still very cinematic and a lot of fun. When
I
it's
save
not,
my
Yeah.
I save my focus for those guys specifically.
Yeah,
As soon as I see one, I'm like, nope, not
Yep.
fighting you.
No, most definitely. Yeah. I if I can add to that, because I beat it without spoiling too much. Craig, you mentioned it being like almost a horror game,
Yeah.
and it like I know what part I got to when I was like, oh, this is definitely what made, like, this is the straw that broke the camel's back
Yeah.
for Craig's take on that. Um, it's a great game. I it's definitely somewhere on my list for the year. We'll have to see how these other games shake out, because Atlas is it's going to be a big Atlas year too. So I'm going to fanboy that in my list, unfortunately. But it's really cool. I encourage people to go, if you haven't, and play the first one, because the first one has a part that's like, for me it was pretty freaking crazy and on par with the horror aspect, or like the on edge aspect of this game. But fantastic storytelling, literally the best facial expressions ever in video games, and everybody acted. That's what I told when I beat it. That was the first thing I told my wife. I was like, everybody acted their butts off in this game. Every single person in the game. I love the classic the voice thing. They really try to have the voices tell you things, which works during the puzzles for their like guidance. But Barry, to your point, in battle, they are telling you things. It just does not land. They'll say things like he's faster than you, and that's like, okay, this is so then if he's faster than me, should I do a slow attack or a fast attack or dodge? Like, they I don't know. The
I ignore
combat
them. I ignore them when they're telling me to do stuff in combat. Like
I,
they usually tell me, "Oh, he knows your every move," and it's when it's when I'm getting absolutely destroyed.
Yep. Yeah, they're picking on you. Yeah,
Yeah,
the
which I
faster
just noted.
thing is them like is the game saying like, hey, use your normal attack, not your heavy attack. But yeah, you hear them so much, you end up like zoning them out
Yep.
after a while.
People talk about how guys have that like
Yeah.
auto tune thing to where like we tune them out. I wonder if that's just something that all three of us can do,
Yeah.
just like turn off the voices in our head.
Yep.
I know. Also, another thing, what a unique way for boss battles.
Yeah.
Craig, I agree with you. I know we talked in our chat about the second and third boss battle specifically.
Yep.
What a way to do that. I know we'll wait. I don't know where you like how far you are into it, Barry. You're probably a chunk into it.
You said you did 2 of them?
Yeah, I'm in the forest.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
You're
Wow.
almost there.
Oh,
yeah.
you are an hour.
Yeah.
If that. But yeah, that second one. Whew. I mean, I like the giants in this, which I guess it doesn't matter because there is a giant in the trailer, so it doesn't really spoil anything. But it's a nice take on that, how they were created and what they look like. To be honest with you,
It's kind of a Shadow of a Colossus type deal because like when you beat them, you feel kind of sad for them. You know?
Yeah.
You're like, oh man.
jeez.
They just want
Yeah,
to be left alone.
Out of the 2 giants I've beaten, I did like Inguns a lot better than Savater.
Yeah.
Or however you pronounce his name. I kind of like that like Inguns was like a rhythm thing almost.
Dun. Yeah, it was really
Yeah.
cool. Also,
Yeah,
her entrance. Her entrance.
Oof. It's so good. It's incredible.
Her Circus Soleil, but as a giant entrance. Like, I was like, what is she? I love
her
it.
like 5 strands of hair.
Yeah. She was good. She looked like Gollum's wife.
She did.
When she came up,
She did.
Anyway, great game.
Okay, so xDefiant. I played some of that. I'm thoroughly enjoying the fact that they're pulling in all the other Ubisoft games. To me, that is like the coolest thing about it, because like you have all your different like characters to choose from, but there's like, okay, these are the people from Echelon, from Splinter Cell. Here's the people from Far Cry. Here's the hackers from Watch Dogs, and then also the levels are from the games too, not like from the games, but inspired. Like I like that idea of like, hey, take all the games that you have under your umbrella and let's make a shooter out of it. I think that's cool. It takes a little bit of getting used to, I would say, and there's no like direct like team deathmatch mode, which is what I normally play, but there's a close enough one that I would much rather play this than Call of Duty right now. So I would say it's off to a good start. I don't know how it's doing as far as like player count. I feel like I see a lot of streamers playing it right now, but I guess in like a month will be the real tell if this is still going on or not. But for a free to play game, and obviously there's pay stuff in there for sure, you could do a lot worse. It feels good, it controls well, the shooting's good. I don't really have any complaints. For sure, check it out if you're looking for some sort of new shooter to play.
Most definitely.
Evil West, I jumped back into because I only played a couple hours when it first came out, and I don't remember why I stopped. I think something else came out. I think, Craig, you played it longer, right?
I did.
Yeah.
I did. I'm very interested to hear your take because I forget why I stopped too. I think it was a similar thing.
Yeah.
Something came along.
It's a great game. I think it went under the radar too. If controls well, it's like a God of War light almost, but you're constantly getting new upgrades that just feel good. Like your pistol, and then your rifle, then your shotgun, and then your different like melee attacks. They all work so well. I think if this was like a AAA publisher, this would have went over really well. Like the
Yeah.
setting's cool, the style is cool. I'm having a blast with it, and it dropped on Game Pass, and I was like, oh yeah, I played that game when it came out. I don't remember why I stopped playing. Let me try again. And I was like, oh yeah, I was having fun with this game. The levels are like short enough that you can get through a level in like 30 to 40 minutes, and then it takes you back to like the hub area.
Mm-hmm.
It's perfect for like, I'll play like a level or two a night, and then it just feels good. So yeah, that's a great game.
Yeah.
I wish I didn't stop playing it when it came out, because I felt like it probably would have ended up on my list. Was that last year or the year before?
Its problem is it was released in October. Just in
Yeah.
general,
Yep.
there's always something that's
Yep.
yeah.
Because
gonna
I bet
overshadow
you
it.
it probably would have been in my top 10 last year, more than likely. And then Tales of, I hope it's Kenzara.
Arise.
It's no. This is one that we saw the trailer for, and I'm like, oh, that's kind of cool. It's about his dad, right? He made the game for his dad. It's definitely a Metroidvania style side scroller. I just played one at the beginning of the year with Prince of Persia, which I think is a better game than this, but it still plays extremely well. The art style is incredible. It has like that African like style to it that is just phenomenal. Bright colors. It's a ton of fun to play. I'm playing it. It's on PlayStation Plus,
Mm-hmm.
so you don't even have to buy it. It's just there.
Sick.
Highly recommend that if you're into those type of games. Normally I'm not, but I think this year is like the year of Metroidvanias for me. I don't know
Yeah.
why, but it's good right now because I don't have anything serious to play right now. It's a nice little like break, and we all know I'm not playing Death Stranding like I should be. So
Like you
I'm
should
literally
be.
like finding any other game to play right now, and I don't know why.
If you start right now, you can beat Elden Ring in time for the
I
DLC,
will
Craig.
not. I will not. But yeah, that's what I've been playing.
All right, I'll briefly talk about Unicorn Overlord because
Yeah.
I have about maybe 5 to 8, and then we can go into the Rebirth cast. So I like Unicorn Overlord. It's published by Atlas, but it's done by Vanillaware,
Yep.
and I'm not always a like a tactical, at least anymore, tactical going and like in a castle setting and trying to do this and do that, which is funny because I'm excited for 2 Atlas related games that involve that this year. But I really like this game. So essentially, you have your fallen prince, mother, like protected against an unstoppable evil, betrayal kind of thing, where she got betrayed, and then her general took over the entire kingdom, like 5 kingdoms to be exact. And the kid got whisked away by the other general that's actually, like loyal to the queen, and then grows up 10 years later. He's fighting to like get the kingdom back. That's the basic storyline. What's cool about the game is there's an overworld map, and you have normal battles, side missions, liberation missions, all that, and you're trying to essentially just battle your way across the map. What's tactical about it that I like, and I didn't think I would like this, but the actual battling is done in an auto sense.
Mm-hmm.
So you don't control the battles themselves, which I wasn't sure if I would like it or not, but I actually do, because all of the efforts and what you do outside of those battles, you essentially set up your armies with the right gear, but then you also set up kind of like what they're supposed to be prioritizing in battle. And I'll tell you what, that art style, whew, in the fighting and any type of cutscene involved, it's fantastic. The characters have enough depth for me to go on. I could tell that you're going to get a wide array of characters because I'll tell you what, I've played for 8 hours. I already have 12 people. You essentially get a new person every time you liberate or do a important enough mission. The overworld is very nice because there's enough to explore without inundating you. Side missions are not fetch quests. They are, and they do also involve battling, at least as far as I have. So I think this is a great game. I think that as I continue to play it, it's going to rise on my list. I don't know where it's going to land, but the formula combined with the visuals and a pretty I'd say a pretty good score too. I think it's a good all around game. I recommend anybody. I think it's still discounted. I got it for 40.
Okay.
Forget where I bought it, where I got it from, but I got it for 40. So um, I recommend it. Barry, I could see why you already played it.
All right, time for the main event. Final Fantasy VII Rebirth spoiler
Ding, ding,
cast
ding.
here. So 45-minute mark here, people. This, I'm just putting it out there. This is going to have to do everything with the ending of Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. We're going to dive deep. I've watched over 10 hours of videos breaking down this ending and trying to understand it because it's kind of
Don't try to
confusing.
understand it. Just let it be.
So keep that in mind when listening here, but let's go ahead and start it. So overall, like, I really loved Rebirth. Like, the ending is paramount in any game. Yes, Gungaga was probably some of the most frustrated I've been with that game in general, but regardless, I really enjoyed all the other sections of the game and everything else it had to offer. I'm not the biggest fan of Final Fantasy did the thing again where you're getting ready to go to the end, you're hyped up for the end, and here's a ton of side quests.
Surprise.
Yeah.
And it's just like, come on, like, I was gonna do the proto relic stuff,
Yeah.
but I couldn't. Like, I thought I was gonna be done after doing the Kid G or whatever his
Yeah.
name is.
Kid G.
He's from the original.
Yeah, I figured.
Yeah.
But he, like, after I did all of that, and it's like, oh, now there's other stuff to do. I was like, no, I'm not. I am not bothering with this because it was already too much. But so we get to the ending, and I'm not sure how you guys felt with it, but you get to the Temple of the Ancients in a very kind of quick segment. You don't get to do much. The whole crew fights your way in, so it's just you, Cloud, going in to try and save Aerith, and you're fighting through whispers. And I'm not sure what you guys did. I'm interested to see what you guys did here. So Cloud gets really close to Aerith after fighting off some of the whispers, and the whispers start lifting his sword. And I was like, oh crap, like they're gonna try to make me kill her. So there's this one part in the game in that little thing where it wants you to tap the L2 R2, but I noticed it wasn't bringing down my sword when I wasn't pressing it, so I didn't press anything during that moment. Do you guys remember if you?
I think I did press it.
I was pressing. Yeah, I was pressing.
Because I didn't realize, like, I thought if I started pressing it, I was gonna kill her. Like,
okay.
I thought,
Yeah.
like that's so I didn't press anything. There was like this gameplay moment where it's switching the camera angle, and it's like, are you really not gonna press anything? I'm like, yeah, I'm not. So I didn't fail anything because all it does is it skips right to the point where Cloud deflects the Musume, and you think you saved her, and then the little glitchiness starts to happen. Turns out Aerith dies, and then we get the whole final boss battle portion where Zack Fair, my man, finally gets into the game, and I finally get to use him. His gameplay stuff is a little iffy. I wasn't the biggest fan of the charge because the charge just takes too long in my eyes. If I wanted to do level 3 Comet, like, I think I only got it off once, but it took me a little bit. But the synergy move between him and Cloud was awesome. I loved that.
That was awesome.
Anime as hell.
As hell.
And we ate it, and we ate it up.
We did.
Oh, when they both started reciting their soldier lines, I was like, "This is it. This is everything I wanted." I am a Zack Fair fanboy. If you guys haven't noticed, my introduction to the Final Fantasy VII series was Crisis Core.
Yeah.
So that's where, like, he is my he's like what Cloud is to you guys, Zack Fair is to me.
Yep.
But after all of the ending stuff happens, like, and I guess I kind of just want to ask you guys, is Cloud being this, like, brainhead mental damage dude, is that in the OG one?
Not really.
Not really, no. Not the way it was portrayed here.
Yeah, I mean, it's in the original, it's different, right? Like, Sephiroth just comes down from out of nowhere and just stabs Aerith in the original, and like there's no like Cloud trying to stop him. It's just like dead.
Yeah.
But I mean, they're playing up a different angle, which I'm okay with. It's totally
Yeah.
fine. It's
Yeah,
just it's like, is he crazy? Does he know something we don't about multiple dimensions? You know, if does he know she's still alive somewhere, and that's why he's like, she's fine. You know what I mean? We don't need to worry. She's cool.
yeah, it's just one of
Yeah.
those things where like everyone has talked about this moment in gaming from the original.
Yeah.
And I
Mhm.
kind of felt like I was robbed in a way
Yeah, you didn't get the
because
original.
because I
Yeah.
didn't get that moment cuz like I know what they're doing cuz I thought I saved her, but
Yep.
like they could have done a little bit different cinematography portion where all we got was the blade with blood then coming like out from the bottom of the screen, and I was like this wasn't the impact I wanted to have on me cuz I wanted to save Aerith. Um I'm a big
Yeah.
shipper of Cloud and Tifa and
Yes.
Zack and Aerith.
Yep.
The game doesn't really care what you want because it seems like they point you toward Aerith no matter what. Especially with that cutscene of those two in the dream timeline. Do you guys want to talk about dog timelines? That's the. There are so many different dog timelines. Like everybody keeps going about how there's the terrier timeline, the pug timeline. There's so much going on, but we aren't gonna get into all of that.
I'm just accepting it until I get the final game and they decide what kind of ending they wanted. Because I
Yeah.
have
Yeah.
my original ending from the original game.
Yeah.
And
That's
the reason it stuck with you so much back then is because there was no internet, right?
yeah.
So you're playing that game and she dies and your immediate reaction is like, "Oh, I did something wrong.
Yeah.
Like I need to reload my save or something because and then also on the playground, you had your friends would be like, "Oh no, she didn't die in mine. You just have to do this, this, and this," which started a whole thing of like you can save Aerith, but you can't. So I think that's why it was like that's the first game I can remember in my childhood where a main character is just
That's the other thing.
just dead, like not even halfway through the game. She's
Yeah.
like, "Bye."
And it was seemingly it was out of nowhere for
Yep.
the player too because of again the lack of resources, and you're engrossed in it. They're telling a great story at that point, and then just boom.
Yep. Dead.
And again, Craig, to build off of you, like main characters weren't just getting killed off really in a in kid video game media, like like it wasn't happening like that
Yep.
to that scale. And then Barry, to what you were saying, we're feeling robbed of your moment. Like they did kind of build up that part a little bit, which maybe I don't know convoluted her death, but we'll see where they end.
Do you get the feeling that like they did it that way for us to be like, "Oh, are we actually saving her this time?" You know
No,
what I mean? That's
absolutely.
what it was.
Like it absolutely
I
was like
I can
because I
fix
fell
this.
for it. I
Yep.
fell for it
Me too.
100%.
Me
I
too.
thought I did it.
I was like, I did
thought
it.
like
I can fix this. I fixed it.
and like they do such a good job of like cinematography wise. So like after that scene you get her dying, and then you have to fight Genova Lifeclinger.
Yep.
Where everyone has their limit break
Yep.
other than Cloud. And it's like, okay, and that's because Cloud doesn't think that she's died.
Yep.
And it's one of those things where they definitely did all of this on purpose.
Mhm.
Like they know where 3 is going, and they're doing this. Like they're trying to tell you gameplay wise where Cloud is at.
Yes.
Because in the end, like we're at this point, we're just kind of like he's a psychopath
Mhm.
at this point, and he's blocking out, like literally blocking out the death, just like he did with Zack.
Yep.
And we'll need to see how it all kind of comes together in the third game, which unfortunately we probably have to wait another 4 years for.
Yeah.
But I'm super excited where it's going to go. Like they've hooked me on the story. I am prepared for when, I think the rumor is it's going to be called Return or Returns, most likely, because you can't call it Reunion. Crisis Core has Reunion already. So it's there's a couple things that need to get figured out with the title. But Returns is most likely what
I would love for them when they're done with this to take the original and not completely redo it, but maybe just like put a fresh coat of paint on it so people could play it. you know, the original. Like, just
Mhm.
give us a remaster, faithful remaster. I think that could be cool, so people could see what the original story was. Because I feel like we're going to be like way over here with this one. Feel like, oh no, this is
Yeah,
this ending. This is the original ending, and most people
yeah.
aren't going to play that old game.
It's going to be an Advent Children ending.
Yeah, probably more than
and
likely.
how far different
Yeah.
it's going to be. But I don't know. It's definitely a piece of Smithsonian game history. The ending makes you like, okay, all of the stuff, throwing the side missions with me at the end to try to give me more to play. Ugh, now it feels like a trudge because like I'm gonna do maybe some of it, or like Barry didn't do any of it.
Yeah.
But then when you play that ending, you're just like, okay. I don't know about y'all. I got heartfelt with the Aerith waving scene.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know. It's good to kind of it's good when a game at the end makes you feel things.
It does.
Yeah.
And I did that thing that I do weirdly where I clap, you know, at the end of the game, and I did that by myself. I clapped.
The gold saucer date is what got me. Like
Yeah.
Who'd you get?
I got Tifa.
I got Aerith.
Damn.
I got Aerith.
I got Yuffie, and I was I wanted Tifa.
All of us got a different one. That's crazy.
The
I wanted
Aerith one's
Tifa.
really good. Yeah.
Yeah, and well, what's funny is like I have the benefit of Final Fantasy Rebirth Ultimania has kind of come out now, and they've kind of cleared up to where that like date thing, like Aerith is the canon one.
Right.
All of the other ones are not. So like, yes, the fanfare is what you get with that. I got the low affinity, I guess, one for Tifa is what I'll say it is, because like all they did was hug and they didn't get the kiss, which is what, you know, everybody kind of goes crazy for. But that like Loveless section was so much fun.
It was cool.
Yes.
The picking, like the whole like Cloudbee and the quick time stuff with all of the art direction stuff like that was super fun as well. And I had it's fun to go look up like all of the dates, because like with Yuffie's, that's a callback to Zack.
Yep.
When Yuffie and Zack first met. Aerith, you know, Aerith is the canon one, and then the, you know, watching, you know, him and Barrett and like that, and then Kate, Sid and Vincent, you know, the boys going out on a Ferris wheel.
The boys.
Yep.
Which is a funny one there.
I know we've talked about and argued about music wise, but the song that Aerith sings might be, to me, that's probably the best song of the year.
So far
it's
for
awesome.
me, I would
it's
agree.
Incredible.
Like, it is awesome.
It matched the moment.
It did.
And the moment like she was writing lyrics and Kate Sith catches her doing that, I was like, oh, okay, this is when we're gonna get it. I didn't know what to expect because we kind of saw the song in the trailers for it, but like that song in the moment of the game is just so powerful.
Yep.
Like I did get like emotional, like when you get to see Jesse and all of them like there. Yep. And like with how much of a Zack Fair fan I am, I think she's talking about Zack, saying like we'll see each other again, but she's really talking about like her and her friends,
right?
Because she knows that she's, you know, gonna die. This Aerith is the Giga Aerith of them all, and kind of understands what's going on and understand what's going to happen.
She knew in the original too. There's a lot of lines she knew she was gonna die, but it wasn't really like you didn't know it was coming so soon. But
especially your first playthrough.
But yeah, that song to me is like, I don't know. The thing is like I'm playing that whole scene with the play, and you're doing all the quick time events, right? And I'm playing that, and like as I'm playing it, my daughter and my wife were also sitting in the living room. It was so funny because like the song goes, and like my wife is like, "What are you playing?" And my daughter's over there being like, "This is a hit." You know what I mean? It was so funny. And I was like, "Yeah, you're right. This is a hit." And I was the whole time like, "This is the weirdest game ever." I'm like, "You shut your mouth. Let me enjoy this moment. You don't understand how much of a moment this is." I know it looks stupid. Like from the outside, if you're seeing, seeing anybody play that section, you're like, this is the dumbest game I've ever seen. But there's so much build up. You get to that point and you're like, man, it works. It really does.
Well, and I have to give this game credit for genuinely being funny.
Yeah.
Like
Mhm.
in that Loveless scene, you have the choice, or I had the choice between Tifa, Nanaki, or Red 13 and Barrett. And like you scroll over to Barrett and he's all bashful in
Yeah.
his evil
Yeah.
villain costume. And
Yep.
like I ended up choosing Tifa, but I looked up and looked on the internet like what happens when you pick Barrett, and Barrett's just like, are you kidding me right now? And then backs up and starts the scene regularly. And it
Which
was
is
just
yeah.
it's just so much fun.
Which is funny because he was bashful in the sailor outfit earlier in the game.
Yep. He was. Which
But
is that's a callback too. The
Yeah.
sailor
Yeah.
outfit and him being ashamed of it. Yeah.
It's one of those things to where like this gives me much of a like a Final Fantasy 13 vibe, where like 13 was all about like the last road trip and then like the end of fun with
Yeah.
them. Like for Aerith, this is her last road trip, and like I have a I've been thinking about it a lot. Like I may go back to the game and restart it from my save point before I got to the point of no return, before you get to the temple of the, not the ancients, but that temple.
Yeah.
You guys know what I'm talking about, the labyrinth.
Yeah.
And go back and do those uh those missions, just because like if it's anything to do with more character stuff, I want to learn more about all of them.
Mhm.
They're all
I still think the
they're
proto
always,
relic stuff's worth it.
Proto relic stuff is worth it.
Yeah.
Definitely.
and I do plan on it. I do plan on going to do that. But I was at the point in the game where I was like, man, I'm really trying to finish this.
Yeah.
And I wasn't. I wanted to do it because I could have just skipped all the Kid G stuff.
Yeah.
And I didn't. I did it. So
Yeah, the Gilgamesh stuff is great. Getting to him, there's one
Sucks.
particular battle that annoyed the hell out of me.
Yeah.
I have to ask you guys: did any of you guys beat Odin?
Yes.
The summon battle.
Yes.
His
Mhm.
is the most annoying thing by far. I
Yeah.
hate.
I had to look up a guide on how to do it.
I did.
And
I
like
did too.
what to equip and all that kind of stuff. It was tough.
I was doing one thing specifically that was crucial. I wasn't doing one thing that was crucial, and I don't know why, but like for some reason, not using abilities. Like when you use your abilities, it keeps him pumped.
Yeah.
So that he doesn't do his one hit kill thing, and I for some reason wasn't doing that when I first played him. So I was getting owned, and I was getting frustrated.
Yeah.
Like
I stopped. I could not do it anymore. I was so upset.
Yeah, it's
like
tough.
I was like well, and it's not that it's tough, it's just that it's got the same problem that Hellblade has sometimes, where it's not giving me enough info.
Mhm.
Like
Yeah.
I don't know when, because like I would be using my abilities, I would be doing all of this, I'd be parrying him, which apparently also helps, and then 30 seconds later it's like I hit him with too many attacks and he just does the Zankutsu, and I'm like, I'm done with this. So that's why like I kind of stopped with that, because I was upset and I was very frustrated.
What's the move that he does before to warn you? He does
Galahorn's warning, I
there
think.
It is.
Yeah.
Then you have a certain more anxiety when you see that. You're like, oh no, I got this. I can.
How about that final Queen's Blood game?
Yeah.
Hey,
Oh,
let's go, baby.
That's another one I had to look up a guide. Because I was like, I was like, all right, what's the optimal deck? Because you have every card at that point. And I made that optimal deck, and it still took me probably 15 or 20 tries.
Definitely a little RNG needed to be on your side at times.
Yep.
Definitely.
Well, it was one of those things in the end where it's like they make such a big deal about getting the Emerald Queen card, and I didn't even use it in my final one because it takes up 2 pawns to set her up.
Yep.
And like in order to set her up, it took way too long for it, so I just ended up using the Ginatak. Man, Ginatak, that is the card.
It is.
If you want to beat her. And it was one of those things where I was like, okay, like I looked up a guide, I built my deck, and then when I finally beat her, you're rewarded with a pretty cool, cutscene to where Cloud throws the card at her and he stabs her
Yeah,
in the
that was
chest.
sick. That
I
was
w-
sick.
I
I
was
like
like,
that.
this is so stupid, but I love it.
Yeah.
So dumb. So
Vincent shooting cards with his gun. I'm like,
Yep.
this is anime.
Yeah. They were
Mhm.
essentially Gambit from X-Men. You're like,
They were.
okay, come on.
Yep. It's good stuff.
Yeah, I was getting frustrated with her because I played with really one deck that I had made of the entire time, but hers was just so much more powerful than anyone else that you play, and the fact that she just starts with it,
Yep.
like gets her, pretty much gives you a handicap at the time. But once you beat her, you get rewarded with that cool scene. I wish you were given a little more for beating her, other than like that.
Yeah.
Because you didn't get anything cosmetic or weapon wise.
No, you got the
No.
card.
I mean,
Yeah.
for me the ride was worth it. I didn't really need a weapon. I enjoyed the
Yeah.
ride.
Yeah.
Queen's Blood as a whole is just a treat from start to finish.
It's a fun game. I do agree with that.
Yep. It's good stuff.
But I'm just trying to think of anything else that I had noticed here. Now that we've
I'll ask while you're looking. Best card game in Final Fantasy.
Final Fantasy 8.
Queen's Blood.
No, it's Final Fantasy 8.
Okay.
I haven't played 8, so.
Well, I know that I'm the 8 fanboy because it was my first one, and I know
that's still the best.
That is such a good card game, man. It's so good.
That's why I want them more so than anything. That's why I want a remake of Final Fantasy 8. I know they said they'll never do it, but I just want to play that card game again.
Yeah.
So good.
Yeah, but I've really hit on all the points I wanted to make about FF7 Rebirth. I love the game. I'm a little disappointed in the confusion of the ending, but they did it on purpose. Like, they know there's another one coming out. When God put that dark materia in his sword, I was like, "Ooh, that's cool."
Yeah.
But I just keep like yelling. I'm yelling at the TV, just yelling Tifa to like just hit him, just punch him. He's being a dick.
Yep. Exactly.
And it's one of those things. Is like, is that also like? Does Tifa have a bigger story in all of this other than being Cloud's like childhood friend? In the original, like, does she have an Aerith type importance to the story?
They're all important.
They're all important.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, they're all important. All right, wait, political answer me there.
I think they did Tifa justice in this because
they did. You get to see her backstory.
You get to see her backstory. You get to see like her constant bouts with Cloud's coldness, and
she likes Cloud. Cloud doesn't.
She
like her.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, you get to see all of that, and like he's just a buffoon who he's traveling with 2 ladies, and he just doesn't know how to talk to ladies at all. You know, well, 2 ladies initially in the game.
Yeah, you literally want to shake him and be like, I understand the appeal of Aerith, but have you seen Tifa? What are you doing, man? Wrong choice.
Yeah,
Tifa's the right choice.
No, it is not. It is not a wrong choice. I am a big Aerith fan. I am a huge Aerith fan.
I'm a big Tifa fan. I'm a big Tifa fan, and I think it's just because I am sad that she just really likes him, and I'm just like, I want her to win. Like,
she's liked him since they were little,
and she's awesome, and she fights with her fists. Like, come on, man. She like, I don't know.
I have a feeling they're gonna do some really effed up stuff.
Probably,
like with Cloud's mind. Like, yeah. I have got some theories because like I do believe that like they're still messing with Cloud. Of course, it's like obvious that Sephiroth is still messing with Cloud. But I have this one thing in particular that is like this one theory that's gonna happen in 3 that would just like it would just destroy like Tifa, and I won't get into it on here. Maybe I shouldn't. Maybe I should. But we'll talk about it maybe another time when we're getting into like leaks or thinking about it. But,
okay.
Yeah, I don't think they're going with the original ending at all. At this,
no, I don't think so either.
We'll see.
But FF7 Rebirth, everyone, that
Game of the year.
Very high on my list. Very high on my list.
As well.
Yeah,
it may end up there. I don't know. I go back.
I
and
think
forth
it's there
the
for me for
list.
now. We'll see. Give it some time.
But then we're on to TV shows and movies.
Yep.
Where this week, because I was so focused on getting that FF7 done, I only had time to watch Godzilla Minus 1. out on Netflix now.
Let's see. I watched Civil War. Not Avengers Civil War, just Civil War. The first Omen and Tarot. Lots of horror.
I only watched Fallen Idols, which is the story of Nick and Aaron Carter. Well, the Carters, but it's advertised as that. And I'm kicking myself because we were going to watch the first Omen last night, Craig. And we were like, it was late. and like one of those, can you keep your eyes open even though it's a scary movie kind of thing? And we didn't. Yep. So I can't wait to hear what you think about it.
Sure.
I'll just go into my first. It is the older of the movies. Godzilla Minus One is a Japanese released Godzilla movie in honor of the 70th anniversary of Godzilla. This movie is awesome.
Yep.
I had it is. It took a little getting used to because Godzilla does look, and I don't really have another word for this, a little derpy in this movie.
You think so?
But
thank you for using derpy.
Well, I think it's because it's in honor of how he looks in original Japanese video.
Yeah.
And that's perfectly fine. Once you get used to it, it looks great, and I think it's fun. But the first time you see him, he has, like, the Godzilla we see now, like, he doesn't walk with his arms tucked in like a T-Rex.
Yeah.
Or he does. Whereas the Godzilla we see now, like, when it's hunched over, his arms are much longer. And I'm like, oh, wait, Godzilla, like, doesn't look like a T-Rex anymore. Like, he looks like a sea monster.
Yeah.
But when he's standing up straight, like, there's the classic pose he has, like, when he's on the TV show for Japanese, that, like, he does have, like, tiny arms. It just looks so much different. Like, his scales and stuff look all the same from the back, but the model from the scales forward looked a little bit different. But I just love the fact that, like, this movie takes a better effect of, like, the human portion of, like, these monster movies to where you see millions are dying in this movie.
Millions, yeah.
Yeah. And I just kind of like the failed story of the kamikaze pilot who kind of redeems himself. It took me a little bit to realize, like, oh, wait, he brought it back because he didn't want to die. I was like, why are they saying nothing's wrong with his plane? And I was like, oh, wait, now I understand what's going on and why, people are upset with him. But just, like, in general, they definitely seem to set up for a second one, because I have no idea what the mark on his wife's neck meant or what it means.
Mm-hmm.
But just to see, like, those kind of, like, that kind of good CGI again, like, I'm willing to wait. Like, what is it, Godzilla Minus 2? Is that what we're doing? Or
maybe Godzilla 0?
Godzilla 0. Yeah, which way on the number line are they going?
Because this is a prequel, so I would assume they'd probably go Godzilla 0
Godzilla
or something.
0.
I think that the first time you really get a good look at him when he's in the water behind their boat is incredible.
Yeah.
When he's, like, swimming after them, I was like, oh, that looks awesome. Like, super intimidating, just terrifying looking. But yeah, it's a good movie. You just have to
it's
read.
On Netflix, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and you still can't.
I did the Japanese, yeah.
Yeah. You still can't get it, I don't think, on Blu-ray. You have to get it from, like, overseas, I believe. Maybe eventually.
Just like all the good Japanese movies.
That's right.
It's unfortunate.
Okay. Go ahead.
I mean, I'll do Fallen Idol since it's a TV documentary series, and then we can get to, like, the real meat, which would be the stuff that you were watching, Craig. Fallen Idols, if you're like me, or around Craig or my age group, you grew up with Aaron Carter, definitely grew up with Nick Carter. Personally, when it was a boy band era, I was more of an NSYNC music listener as opposed to Backstreet Boys, but I did listen to all the hits. I mean, come on, you couldn't escape it.
Yep.
What Fallen Idols follows is the rise of the Carter family, and the fall, definitely, of the Carter family, most notably the fact that there are 5 children and 3 are dead, like, as of right now. And what it shows kind of what the Carter family had to go through, especially Nick and Aaron growing up as music stars, and then Aaron being in Nick's shadow because he was starting his career when Nick was definitely in his. So it was interesting to kind of see not only another musical family going through with two parents who are not ideal parents, both alcoholics and like didn't really parent at all, but music managed. That was what they were good at. They weren't great at being parents. They were great at music managing. And then seeing when Nick and Aaron hit their teenage years, what the effect that had. Because I mean, Craig, Aaron's Party, Come Get It. That Aaron Carter looked a lot different from Aaron Carter later in his life and acted a lot different from that. So if you're in the mood for a sad tale, uh, if you're in the mood for a sad tale, but also very interested because maybe you grew up liking their music or maybe you listen to their music now, I highly recommend it. Especially also to see where Nick Carter is and his controversies surrounding it too. Because Aaron Carter definitely thought Nick Carter and Nick Carter's wife were trying to harm him.
Yep.
There's a lot of footage to show you kind of some information on that, and you can make your own opinion. But it's definitely 4-part docu-series. It's on Max. We were watching it in between the basketball games. Literally, we were just on Max like all week between basketball and Nick Carter or Nick and Aaron Carter. So I recommend it. Definitely a good one.
So, Civil War. I'll start with Civil War. I did want to see this one in theaters, but again, it jumped so quickly from theaters to streaming, just like everything else. I feel like the trailer doesn't really tell you what the movie is about, if that makes sense. I was completely unaware, and maybe that's my fault for not completely getting it, that it was following reporters. But that being said, I really like the movie. It's just not what I expected. Like, you get this, like, okay, America's at war with itself. There's the two sides. There's like the two states that left the US, and then there's the rest of the US. But what I really enjoyed is just the story of the photographers. And it kind of shows you what photographers go through, right? Like, they're right there on the front lines and they're being protected by, whatever army their photographer, like, and there's kind of like an unwritten rule where you don't shoot at press during times of war, but that's not always the case. I do wish there's a vibe in this movie that you get who the two sides are in our times, right? Like, it's very heavily implied, but they don't ever actually say anything. And I kind of wish they would just go all out and put it out there as far as like who you're trying to portray, because we all know who you're trying to portray with the two sides, right? We know who you're going with. It's very evident. We're in a political year. Just do it. You know what I mean? Like, you got 99% of the way there making this movie. Just do the 1%. But as a movie as a whole, it's extremely good. You get to see, like, man, if we did have a civil war, just how crazy and insane our country would be. You have, like, the whole point is there is the press photographers, and they're going to DC to interview the president because nobody has talked to the president in like a couple of years. He's holed up in the White House. He's not coming out. And they have like this road trip across the country. They go through like Pittsburgh and that kind of stuff. And you see like, and then also there's, they go to sections where they have looters strung up in the car wash in like the remote sections. There's part of the country they'll go to and it's like there's nothing wrong, and they talk to people and like, oh, we just stay out of it, which would totally happen. You probably would have that kind of section in the US. But overall, as a movie, it's very entertaining. It has a good story, and I was not disappointed. I was just a little like, oh, that's not at all what I expected this movie to be. So I totally think it's worth a watch for sure.
Yeah, I feel like they do that a lot with A24 movies.
Yeah.
Is like kind of the same thing with like Everything Everywhere All at Once.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it wasn't to that level we saw the trailers at, but I do know Civil War is getting a lot of good reviews. I do plan on watching that.
Yeah.
I liked this premise, and I was looking it up while you were talking about it too, and it has like a map of like the factions too. I would definitely be down for a movie like this. I should have.
Yeah.
I can't.
All right. The first Omen, we'll get into that. First and foremost, let me just say that the people I've seen everywhere that, like, when they advertise, it's like the scariest movie you've ever seen. This is not the scariest movie of the year. Let's just get that out of the way. It's not. I enjoy the original Omen. This is a good movie. You're okay. It's not a terrible movie. It's not the scariest movie. It may be the grossest, for
Yes.
sure. I mean, if
Okay.
you want to see uh up close shot of a demon being born out of a woman, you can see that here. That's there. Caught me off
Yeah.
guard, and I like, okay, because like you're Craig, you're familiar with the Omen, right?
Hmm.
Obviously, and the whole point of birthing basically a demon.
Yes.
And I'm like, okay, yeah, I know what I'm getting into, and I'm like, okay, yeah, they're trying to birth the demon. Okay, there it comes. Oh, they're just showing everything. Okay, cool. One of those. It's very like unnerving of a movie. I just don't think it's like a terrifying movie. It has a good feel to it. It's shot extremely well if you care about that. Um, and I just thought it was like, yeah, that was good. I enjoyed it a lot, but it wasn't. I was expecting this like 10,000 jump scares and like, oh my god, edge of my seat. It's not that. It's a slow burn, if
Got it.
you will. Kind of like Immaculate,
Okay.
but better for
I
sure.
looked at it and saw it was 2 hours, and I was like, "Oh boy, a 2 hour scary movie."
Yeah,
You know.
yeah, it's definitely worth a watch. Tarot, this one is just absolutely getting just blasted in reviews. But here's what I can tell you about Tarot. If Craig and I, we have a love for horror movies. Think back to like 90s, 2000s horror movies, right?
Okay.
Simple premise, cheesy, always heavily criticized. That's what this movie is. And like, I'm down for those every once in a while. It's so
Yeah.
stupid. It's like, okay, um, they find a tarot card deck. These kids all find a tarot card deck, college students. And the one girl reads all their fortunes with the tarot card decks, and they're all going to die how she read the fortune. So the whole movie, you're like, oh, she said this. I wonder how that's going to be a kill. Oh, okay, that makes sense. And it's kind of like, oh, yeah, they're going to a certain place, and they're like, and in your mind, you're like, oh, she said that in the, on the tarot card. So, and each tarot card has a different picture on it, and each person had their own card, and that's what they see when it comes to kill them. So it's like the jester and that kind of stuff. I actually did not mind this movie. It's very dumb. It's very like hour and a half, early 2000s cheesy horror movie. And like if you're down for those, like you'll have a good time.
I think I can be down for that. You
Yeah.
know,
You don't
especially if you go in with that mindset.
Yeah,
You
just
know.
don't think. It's real dumb. And that's about all I want sometimes. I don't need a thinker of horror movies all the time, which is what most of them are now.
Yeah, that's
Every
true.
once in a while, you just want the popcorn horror movie. Like if I
Give me
would have saw it in
popcorn.
theaters, I'd have been like, okay,
Cool.
I don't need to buy it, but I'm happy I watched it. I'm sure that one will be streaming like very, very soon, like
Got it.
Netflix or somewhere. But yeah, that's all I watched.
All right.
Oh, okay. Well, we'll go ahead and end the podcast there. I want to thank everybody for listening. If you are listening on your podcast listening platform of choice, please make sure to like it, subscribe to it, leave a review for it, share it with a friend if you feel so inclined, or on social media. If you're watching on YouTube, please make sure to like and comment. I would love to get into more Final Fantasy VII theories about
Yeah.
how this is going to go in the next one. And I've got a lot of theories jumping around in my head, and I'm excited for what the next game holds. So, any theory you got, put it in there, and I'll consider it in my jumbled, busy mind about FF7 Rebirth, or Returns is what the third one will probably be. So I appreciate everyone for the support, listening, watching, and helping us become more popular. With that being said, we'll see you guys next time. Bye.
Bye, guys.
See you.